Welcome to this evening's program. This is our last day of our online Bugfest celebration. My name's Katie Amon. I'm part of the education section at the museum. And as everybody's joining, we want to start off the program tonight with an icebreaker question. And our question, this is just to get you used to using the chat line. We really want you to participate tonight and ask questions. So this is just as a warm up to that, to get into the chat line. Our question is, what is your favorite pet at home and what is its favorite food? So we'll let you answer some of those questions, answer that question and see what kind of animals you guys are living with. So we are not sharing a PowerPoint presentation tonight because we are going to be meeting some live animals, but I'm gonna skip over the Zoom tutorial that shows you how to size pictures on your screen. But we do want you to know that live captioning is available. And if you choose to see the live captions on your screen, do so by clicking the live transcript that in your toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And also, we want you to participate, but we want you to talk in the chat and ask all of your questions, but make sure you're a good digital citizen and don't spam the chat, and make sure that what your comments are relevant to what we're talking about, and just be kind and respectful to everyone on the chat. And with all of that now, I want to introduce our speaker tonight. He's the owner of Harrell House Bug Museum in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So he's coming to us from all the way from out west, and he's a favorite annual visitor to our in-person Bug Fest when he brings his fantastic collection of tarantulas and scorpions and teaches our visitors all about them. So we're just so happy tonight to have some live things on our online program. And I'm happy to introduce Wade Harrell from New Mexico here. You can wave, Wade. Welcome, Wade. And we're so excited to join you and your arthropods for dinner.
All right, great. Well, thanks. I've got a selection of bugs that we're going to feed today. Whenever you work with live animals and in an entertainment capacity, you never know what they're going to do. So I brought some bugs that I'm pretty sure are hungry and will feed for us today, but there's never any guarantee. But I brought a bunch of them, so I'm sure some of them are hungry. I just want to get to these bugs, which would be more fun to look at than me. So I'm going to switch my camera around and show you the first one. We're gonna feed here is most of what we're going to be feeding tonight are arachnids, spiders and scorpions, things like that. But we are going to start with a few insects, predatory insects. And this one is a katydid, which, if you don't know what a katydid is, they are insects in the same group with crickets and grasshoppers. In fact, what makes katydids different from grasshoppers is that they have very long antennas. You can see these extremely long antennas that she has. And this is a very large katydid. It's probably nothing that really shows you that, but I'll stick my hand behind on the other side of the glass there. You get a sense of how big this is.
That's just what I was wondering, like how big was that? And that's great to put your hand there.
Yeah, they are the largest member of the grasshopper and cricket family found in the United States. I mean, the total length is at least 4 inches here. That's including her ovipositor. And that's how we know this is a female. That's an ovipositor on the end that she will. Not all insects, female insects, have ovipositors, but in case of most crickets and grasshoppers, they do, and they use that to lay eggs. And she would lay her eggs in the ground. She would stick that into the dirt and lay eggs underground. Now she's an unusual katydid. Now most katydids are plant eaters. They usually leaves, flowers, grasses, things like that. But some katydids are omnivores and will eating mostly plants, but the occasional bug. But this katydid is one of the few that's exclusively carnivorous. This is a meat-eating katydid. And she has very large, see if I can bring my phone closer so you can just get a good look at her before oops. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Sorry, folks, I lost my I pressed something I shouldn't have on my phone and went away there for a minute.
You're back. Well,
okay.
The picture's back. You're not quite back yet.
There I am. Okay. And we're trying to get up close to her to see.
Well, you know what, Wade, it looks like you're looking at the ceiling.
So can you guys see her now?
You're sort of, it looks like you're looking
at the
ceiling, yeah, something like that.
I think it's frozen up.
It's okay. I was just looking at what's
because I'm seeing the Katydid.
Yeah, we are seeing something else. It looks like the ceiling, maybe. It looks almost like the ceiling, Wade.
Okay.
So maybe we can.
Because
maybe you can tune back in. Are you there? You know what? While he's trying. Yeah, Wade, you're frozen. If you can hear me, you might want to restart your Zoom program. That would be good. But in the meantime, let's look at this. I wanted to. I can sort of hear you. It's one of those things here. We can see. Can you hear me, Wade? Wade.
Sorry, when it came back, I'm automatically muted every time.
There it is. Oh, look at her. She's so pretty.
Yeah, you get a good view right here. Now, if I can avoid hitting a wrong button on my phone, we should be good here. This will be a good view to see her eat.
Yeah.
All right. So you can see she's got a big red eye. She's shaking her antennas around. And you'll also notice she has very spiny legs.
Yeah.
They actually use those legs to capture their prey. And I better give her some prey here before she decides to make just a break for it in general.
Yeah, she looks like she's getting ready.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see if I'm going to give her a cricket here. You can see the cricket there. Yeah, she did not mess around. Yeah, she pounced on that.
Nice. Look at those mandibles.
Yeah, they have large jaws. These katydids are capable.
Recording in progress.
Even though they don't fly with them, they do use the wings for other things. In fact, usually when she's angry and defensive, she will put up her legs and her wings in a kind of an impressive threat display. And it's not a bluff. They will bite.
Yeah. So how do the wings play into that making sound? How do they make sound with the wings? It's just rubbing together? Or?
Yeah, they rub them together. On the males, because it's a female, she doesn't have it. But on the males, they have a special kind of weird textures. On a mounted katydid that's dead with the wings spread out, the male wings actually look kind of deformed, but they're not really. It's just that they're shaped for sound making. And it's kind of up near the base of the wing, kind of near the front end of them, and they will rub those two things together. And it's kind of like, rubbing like some of those sticks they make music with that have little notches on them, and you rub them together to make a sound. Their wings are structured like that to make those sounds.
Huh, that's sort of cool. Let's see. Bethany has a question that says, how much? Oh, no, we already asked that one. Deanna says, what other bugs does she eat? What else?
We've also offered her cockroaches. They're not picky at all. They'll eat any bug, but mainly here we feed them crickets or cockroaches. But we do have to keep them. We have to keep them separately. I have a couple of these, but they live in separate cages. They make music with that have little notches on them. They are like most predatory arthropods. They will eat each other.
Just anything that moves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the cockroach idea. That's Let's see. I'm looking in the thing. Deanna also asked, why are antennas so long?
Well, they are for one thing, their antennas are the main way they're going to find each other. For mating, they can smell and recognize prey nearby. In her case, all katydids generally have long antennas, though. That is a trait of the group. And that is, like I said earlier, the difference between them and grasshoppers. Grasshoppers typically have short antennas, but katydids and crickets usually have very long antennas. And some of them have really long antennas. But it is usually about finding each other for mating purposes and for, in this case, locating prey.
So if one of those antennae got broken, because they're so long, they look fragile. If they got broken off, would they grow back, or is that it?
If they were not fully grown, they would grow back because most arthropods, including most insects, can regenerate lost limbs and appendages, including their antennas, when they shed their skins. But once they're fully grown, like this one is, they don't shed their skins anymore. So if she lost her antenna at this point, she would just be missing that antenna for the rest of her life, which is probably not super long. We hope to have her for as long as possible, but I'm hoping for at least 2 or 3 more months. But that'll probably be her whole life. I mean, most insects are relatively short-lived, especially ones that live in in the United States, so they tend to be annual in duration.
Another question is, does she eat worms? Would she eat a worm?
She probably would. I've never fed her once. I don't know if she finished off the cricket and she's cleaning her foot.
So you broke up.
So just for anybody who didn't see the initial grab, I can offer another one, see if she's still interested. She probably is.
So we broke up a little bit.
Sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yeah. So the answer about the worm got broken up a little bit. Oops, I think we got frozen. That's all right. She finished.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit. The answer about her eating an earthworm, that one broke up. So we didn't get that answer. Let's see, everybody.
All right, Katie.
Yeah.
I think he left. I think he's going to have to rejoin. His internet connection's unstable. So.
Okay.
So we should talk about whatever. We'll have to wing it till he comes back.
I'm not sure which other things he's showing us. I'm sort of excited to see it. If here. Oh, that's who. If he's going to have the scorpion or not.
Yeah, Wade has really, really cool stuff. I'm sorry that his internet is not working, but that Katydid was amazing. So what a neat animal. She ate that cricket so fast.
I wanted to ask if they always start at the head. They must, but I'm not sure.
It would seem like it would be easier to get it down because it would be wiggling the whole time if you don't start at the head. So that's definitely a good point, like a snake, right? Snakes always start with the head.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's easier, it goes down easier.
It was pretty cool close-up shot of those of all the pieces, their mouths are so complicated. You know, it's just, they've got all these parts to them that have to work together. And you don't appreciate it until you get that close.
It is really neat to see it close up like that. And especially these, here she is. Okay, Wade, you back?
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, I think you froze again.
Hear me? You don't hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Okay. Well, we can move on to some other bugs. I was just going to throw another cricket real quick. So for people who didn't see that grab before, we'll see.
Oh, good grief. She's still very hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get attached to these guys?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we are, but I mean, it is, it just kind of comes with the territory when you're working with insects in particular. They're fairly short-lived. So, they're not going to live forever, but you still sad when they go, because especially these guys that have just so different from other insects. Right. So she's chowing down on that second cricket, but I'm going to move on to some different bugs here while she eats.
Okay. So you definitely house her by herself, right? Because they eat each other.
Oh yeah, they would be cannibalistic if you put two together.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see she would not hesitate. Like in the wild, they have like elaborate courtships that they use for mating. When they mate, so that the male can approach without being eaten. Because in the bug world, females are almost always larger. So in the predatory bug world, makes it very risky for the males.
Yeah. I guess you think about like all these, when the grasshoppers come in, invasions and stuff, that they're parts of big groups. It's just to think of them as solitary. Good grief. What is that?
This is a spiny flower mantis.
Wow. A lot of people have been asking about mantids.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hope that I have more mantises, but I do have this one to show. This is called a spiny flower mantis, and you can see you can see it's well named. It's spiny. It's meant to look like a flower, and so when they hide, pollinators will come right up to them and get eaten.
Oh my God, it is so cute. What is it, about the size of
it's about an inch long.
Inch. It's really pretty, actually.
Yeah, they're really neat little mantises. This is not fully grown yet, but they stay fairly small, even as adults. And I'm going to see if I can offer. Normally, she feeds on fruit flies, but I've got a couple small crickets here that hoping that she'll be interested in, because she's just about outgrown the fruit flies.
Like at Thanksgiving dinner now, huh? Good grief, it's as big as she is.
She freaked out.
It scared her.
Yeah.
You think she'll do it? Oh, no.
She jumped on the floor, so now I got to get her. All right.
Yeah, you maybe put the camera down and go get her.
Yeah.
Oh, you got her.
Yeah, she's on my finger now, so you can see. The mantises are a little. She's probably used to eating smaller prey than that, and you can see that this is kind of this jerky motion. That's not the video. That's the mantis. They do that to kind of look like a leaf or something blowing in the wind. So it's kind of a camouflage technique, just to avoid being noticed when they're moving.
Mm-hmm. Her little abdomen or whatever looks like little tail feathers.
Yeah, little spines on it there. She's really neat there. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna set my phone down for a second to get her back in her cup.
All right. So, are you raising her by herself?
Yes, mantises in general are also pretty cannibalistic. There's a few weird exceptions out there that could be lived together with other mantises, but most of them, she's just not interested in the cricket, is she?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe later. I'll leave it in there.
Actually, a really nice flower arrangement that she has in there.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't really care about it, but it's fun for us.
Yeah.
All right. So
See, Hugo is asking, how do you know if it's a male or a female? That mantis.
And mantises, it can be a little tricky with mantises. They are until they're fully grown, but usually if you look at the underside of the abdomen, the final segment on a female is wider than it is wider than it is long. It's a very large segment on the end of the abdomen, whereas on a male, it's a very small segment on the end.
I see.
Now, and they're usually, I'm going to do this without getting bit here. I'm trying to move her back into her cage so I can put the top back on. She's still got a mouthful of crickets, so it might be the best time to move her.
Yeah.
Right. Because, like as I mentioned, she can bite. So, all right. So now,
have you been bitten before?
I've had her grab me a couple times. Yeah. Never really bad. So I've been fortunate that she hasn't actually been able to really get me bad. So she'll give me little nips. So very careful about that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'll look at a few other things. This is a centipede that somebody brought us actually just about a week ago. This is a local species of centipede, fairly common here in Santa Fe. This one's about 5 inches, so fairly large, but not as big as they come. But and I'm going to see they were keeping this and they were feeding it rather well before they brought it in. So may not be hungry, but I'm going to drop a cricket in there and see.
Oh, so these people brought this in this.
Yeah, this is a fairly common one in the area. They end up at people's houses, so people will catch them and bring them to me. There's no centipedes this big on the East Coast. Yeah, it's starting to get so where there's see, centipedes are practically blind, so it cannot see the cricket. So it just felt something nearby, or it might decide to go hide. You can see it's kind of mad. You can see its legs there, so it may not be interested today. Centipedes are a little less predictable than most bugs.
So they can't see really.
Centipedes hunt with their antennas and smell. And this one is probably not hungry. I'll leave the crickets in there in case they want it later. But
how bad would that be to step on that?
To be bitten by a centipede is really nasty. They're not deadly to people, but a lot of people will end up going to the hospital for painkillers after being bitten by one.
Wow.
So it is not fun.
So it's a bite. It's not a sting. It's a bite.
It is a bite. I mean, well, technically sting is probably okay too, because technically what they're biting you with is not their actual mouth parts. They're 2 modified legs that are right behind the head. So I always call them fangs, but truthfully, they're not really fangs. They are actually modified legs. All right, now this is a scorpion.
Yeah. This
is called an emperor scorpion. And this is an African scorpion. It's not a dangerous scorpion at all. They do have stingers, and they can sting, but they rarely do. It's actually one of the few scorpions I'll pick up in my hand. But I'm not going to do that now because I want it to eat.
Yeah. How long is he? Is it? He looks like she is like 2 inches long, 3.
It's about, with the tail stretched out, it would be about 4 inches maybe. Body is about 2.5, 3 inches maybe. So this is these get fairly large. This is actually kind of an immature one. Fully grown, these can be 6 or 7 inches.
Wow.
So let's see if it's interested in this cricket. I'm going to put right in its face. Do you want it?
They do remind me so much of lobsters because of those claws.
Yes. It's going to grab it there. Okay. So it grabbed it, but it might have been just pushing it away because it doesn't want it. Scorpions have extremely low metabolisms, and we feed our bugs very well here. They get fed weekly, but that might mean that he's not really hungry right now. It's kind of holding on to the cricket, but I think because it's angry more than anything else. It's like, what is this thing in my face?
Are they all nocturnal? Are
scorpions? Yes, all scorpions are nocturnal.
Mm-hmm. So around where you live, how many are you afraid of? For venom.
Scorpions in New Mexico, we don't have any that are considered dangerous. We probably have a dozen, or we probably have more like 24, 25 species altogether, but none of the only one in the United States that's considered dangerous is the Arizona bark scorpion. It's a little tiny guy, but it's mainly southern Arizona.
Okay. You said bark, like B-A-R-K?
Yes, they're typically found on the bark of dead trees. Under the bark, they like to live under the bark of dead trees.
So we've got a question from Elise, and she asked
if there's scorpions around Raleigh. Do you know around what North Carolina has?
Yeah, North Carolina has one native species that can be found in the Smoky Mountains. It's a little tiny guy, sometimes called the Carolina bark scorpion. It's found everywhere from it's mainly found in the mountains from northern Florida up into Virginia. And it's only about, it's not even as it's the size of a dime about, so fairly small guy. Really? Now, so there are no native scorpions in the Raleigh area. However, there are some Southwestern scorpions that turn up in the Raleigh area associated with barbecue restaurants because people import mesquite from the Southwest for barbecue, and then they'll have piles of mesquite wood out back, and there'll be like striped bark scorpions or a few other species out there that have turned up in downtown Raleigh before.
But they would die in the winter, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they are like breeding populations there. Now, they do live in some colder areas of Texas and Oklahoma, so it's possible they might survive there. I don't know if they're established and actually breeding, or if they just turn up, freshly off the wood. Now, this is another scorpion. This is a desert hairy scorpion. It's the largest scorpion found in the United States, and get up to 5 inches. You can see this guy is fairly big. This is the largest American species of scorpion. And it is not dangerous at all. If it stings, it hurts a little like any scorpion, but it's not considered dangerously venomous. But let's see if this one is interested in eating anything.
One comment from Bethany is that he's creepy cool.
Yeah.
Also, David is asking, what is the best way to keep them away from a campsite?
Scorpions?
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so he's going to sting the thing. It looks like he might sting this cricket, so I'll zoom in there. I don't know there's anything you do to keep him away from the campsite. Now, if you're not in the, see, he's stinging right there. Oops. There you go. He's actually stinging the cricket.
Yeah. Somebody's also, I'm throwing so many questions at you, but the glowing in a black light.
Yes. I was going to say, keeping them away from a campsite, I don't know how to do that. But if you are worried about checking on them or make sure they're not in your campsite, investing in a portable black light. Unfortunately, I don't have one handy to show you with this guy. I do have several of them, but they're all about 150 feet away from where I am right now. Okay. But you can, okay, now you can see its mouth parts coming out. These are called chelicerae. They're the mouth parts of arachnids. And on scorpions, they're like a little mini set of claws that come out and start like crunching up the prey.
Wow. Where are his eyes?
They've got more than one set. They've got a set right in the center, that kind of dark blotch in the middle. It's got some eyes there, and then there's like 4 eyes around the front edge. You can kind of see them.
Oops. Freezing a little bit.
Like the edge of the carapace, like where right above where the claws are attaching.
Much slower eater than the Katydid. I got to ask him about the head first part.
Yeah, it's just scorpions usually just grab and start eating.
So the way do all
and it's not going to eat nearly as fast as that Katydid did. I'm sorry. Oh, now I don't hear anything.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
I hear you. Yeah, you hear me?
So yeah, I can hear you. So do they all start head first on these insects? Start eating?
Not necessarily. I think they're starting head first because I presented them head first. But they usually, like in the case of scorpions, they usually just grab the prey. They may sting it, and they'll start eating from wherever they've got their grip. So it might be back end first. Mantises can be particularly horrifying in that because they'll grab the prey and they don't really try to kill it or anything. They just start eating, and so the poor insect is struggling to get away from the front end while it's eating the back end of it. Yeah. But
this stinging bit that he's doing, when he stings it, how quickly is it? It was alive when you gave it to him. It doesn't wait for the thing to die. It just
no, not really. I mean, it will if it's struggling or the scorpion feels like threatened or something, like it needs to kill it first, like it might be in danger of the bug fighting back. But crickets are pretty easy for them to overcome. Yeah. So it will. It doesn't really have to wait. Although the venom should be powerful enough to kill a cricket pretty quickly. Like I said, it's not powerful enough to be dangerous to a person, but to a cricket, that's going to be pretty quick.
Yeah. So another question from Mandy is, how can you tell if this is a male or female, or a boy or a girl?
Scorpions, the males in most scorpions, the males and females look more or less alike. There's a few that have where the male will have a distinctly longer tail than the female, but in most they just look alike. And in order to tell, you have to look at the underside where they have special structures called pectines they look like two little combs on their belly that they kind of use to just scent and smell things as they drag along the ground when they walk. And males have very larger pectines with really long teeth on it. If you imagine a comb with really long teeth, the male has really sensitive ones because it's usually him that's trying to locate the females. And so that's the way you tell. If I have a group of the same species of scorpions and I need to know whether they're males or females, I'll put them in clear cups or clear containers and look from the bottom, and I can see the pectines that way.
I see. So if they're going to sting somebody, it's mostly if you've stepped on them or you're threatening them or you stick your hand where it shouldn't go and they're in there. They're not.
They have no reason to sting. Stings are entirely defensive. They have no interest in trying to sting us. They have no reason to. But they do. Of course, they can. But it is entirely defensive. But in some places, scorpions like to hide in things, and so they hide in somebody's shoe, and you put your shoe on, and you get stung that way. The scorpion has no desire to come in any contact with you whatsoever. Now this is a scorpion. This is a little more of a dangerous scorpion, so we do not want to. This is called a fat tail scorpion. It's from the Middle East. When we got this guy, he was missing a claw. So he's got one claw, but he's missing the other one. But you'll see that. Let's see if I can get close enough with the camera so you can see this of this guy. He's got a very massive tail.
Do you know how old he is?
I do not know how old this scorpion is. We've had it. We've only had this a couple of months. No idea how old is it. I don't think it's fully grown yet, so I would guess it's probably 1 or 2 years old.
I see.
But can you see the tail on this scorpion?
Yeah.
And see how, now look at the shape of the pinchers and how he's missing one pincher, but so look at the shape of one of his pinchers and then how big and thick that tail is. And that's how those are clues that this scorpion is more venomous. Scorpions with thin pinchers like that, these are a trait of the family Buthidae of scorpions, and all the dangerous scorpions in the world are in that family. It's about 25 species of scorpion that are considered dangerous out of around 2,000. So most of them are not really dangerous, but or not really dangerous at all, just a nuisance if they sting you, but there are a few that are. And this one is a potentially dangerous one, but I am going to see if it wants a cricket.
I think it's funny that you decorate these cages with bones.
Well, I also get a lot of people donate bones. I collect that kind of thing myself, and so I might as well use them in the cages. It adds a little touch of theatrics to the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, we got it.
So you can see this guy has grabbed its cricket there and is stinging it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like
it's probably very powerful venom in this guy. So it's it's not going to take long for that cricket to snuff it.
That stinger is pretty big. It looks like a cat's claw.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a very large stinger, very large tail. So scorpions with big tails, big stingers, that means they use them, whereas the scorpions, like the emperor scorpion I showed you first, have very large, broad pinchers, but, kind of a modest-sized tail. And that's because, their claws are their main weapons. But in this guy, the stinger is the main weapon.
Let's see. That's what we look out for.
Look out for little pinchers.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's going to be a big tail.
All right.
How long have you been doing this? How old is the museum?
There was a question. My volume was down all of a sudden for some reason.
I was just asking how long you've been running this museum.
We've had our museum for 9 years.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. I am getting some questions here. How long do scorpions live? And what makes crickets the default bug food?
Scorpions, most scorpions live 3 to 4 years, not real long lived. Longer than most insects, but most scorpions are fairly short lived, live a couple of years. But some of the larger ones do tend to live longer, like the emperor scorpions. They can live like 6 to 10 years, And some of the giant desert hairy scorpion I showed you, supposedly they've been known to live. I mean, they typically live 8 to 10 years, but apparently at least one lived in captivity for like 18 years. So pretty long.
So like if they lived that long, when was the last molt?
I don't know the full life history of the one that lived that long because it wasn't me keeping it. Yeah. But hairy scorpions molting in captivity is actually fairly rare. So there's a lot of mystery about their life cycle in nature because they don't seem to people don't seem to successfully raise them from babies very often in captivity for that species. Other species, sure, emperor scorpions are bred all the time, but the desert hairies seem to have a more mysterious life history connected to the weather patterns of the Southwest,
Interesting.
Now this guy is called a Vinegaroon, and I'm going to pick him up so we can take a look at him up close. So this is a Vinegaroon, and Vinegaroons also are called whip scorpions. You can see why. It looks like a scorpion, has a long whip-like tail. It also has whip-like front legs. It is not a true scorpion. It does not have a stinger. So that's why I picked it up so casually. It will not hurt me. Its only defense is to make a vinegar smell, which it sprays from its rear end, and then it wags that tail around to spread the odor. Now, I'm going to see, hopefully he will feed. even after I picked him up. They're usually not shy about that. And Vinegaroons, by the way, are native to New Mexico. They're something that can be found here. They're also in Arizona and Texas and Central and South America and some parts of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Oops. That cricket.
May not want it. I may have messed it up because he may not want to eat now that I picked him up. And he also, like I said, they are well fed here, so it's possible he's just not that hungry.
So he has those two very long, thin legs.
Yes.
But they're not the front legs. It's sort of like they're coming out of the center of his body.
Well, they are actually his front legs. It's just they fold backwards kind of over his body. I'll zoom in and see if we can get a closer look there, and you'll see how they're attached.
Oh, I see. They are.
Yeah. So he's also got the claws on front, which are pedipalps on arachnids. All arachnids have pedipalps. On scorpions and Vinegaroons, they take the shape of like claws. Spiders, they look short, parable. They're not claws.
I see. It's like a modified mouth.
So Vinegaroons are one of my. They do look, yeah, and they're like antennas. And they call antenna formed because their legs, because arachnids don't have true antennas, but some arachnids have legs that function like antennas.
I see. Let's see. Someone's asking, where are its eyes?
Its eyes are like right on the kind of, you see where the claws are in the front, and you see where they kind of attach to the body. The body's kind of a pentagon. I mean, the carapace, the cephalothorax, kind of a pentagon shape there. Right at the point of it is the where the eyes are.
Okay. It seems as if
very small. Their eyesight is very poor.
Looks like he's a little bit interested in that cricket, maybe.
He probably is. I mean, he might. Sometimes they'll take their time and eat it. Sometimes it's just waiting for it to be darker and me to be out of the picture. So he's kind of moving towards it, though.
How would you know if one of these? How would you know if one of these guys was well fed, like or like a starving Vinegaroon? What would it look like? Do they get fat?
Well, with arachnids, their abdomens get large. They do. Their abdomens can get quite large. You can see on this one, you can see that gray kind of stripe on the side. That's the membrane that kind of holds the segments of its abdomen together. When you can see that, that means it's fairly well fed. Because it's just kind of the stretchy area of their abdomen.
I see.
So not super hungry.
Yeah. I mean, as a keeper of these, like how to know if they're healthy or not, it's hard to read them.
It is. I mean, normally you're looking for things like, is it acting well? Is it doing its normal behaviors? Is it burrowing? I mean, feeding. Like for Vinegaroons, they live in a temperate region. It gets cold here in New Mexico, so they seal up their burrows during the winter, and they're totally inactive during the winter, which can be challenging as a keeper because you're like, okay, is this normal or is this is there something wrong? Vinegaroons live about 9 years total lifespan. The first 5 of which is growing. They take about 5 years to reach adulthood, and then they live 4 or 5 years after that.
Do they reproduce in large numbers, or what kind of populations?
They do. They'll breed. They have about 30 to 40 babies at a time, and once a year. So the females they'll mate during the summer, during the monsoon seasons here when it's wet, and then they'll actually make their egg sacs over the winter while they're sealed underground. And so when it's springtime, they open up their burrows again. Then the babies are ready to disperse and come out.
Wow. See, we have about 10 minutes. I just want to make sure you know I'm talking.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll maybe try to go a little faster for bug now because I got spiders to get to. I want to start with some. These are some young tarantulas. This one is called a Haitian brown tarantula. It's one of the largest. Fully grown, it's one of the largest tarantulas in the world. They're not as big as the glass birdies, which are the biggest of all, but they do get pretty big. These can get like 8 or 9 inches across as an adult. This is just a baby. But the one thing about the babies is they're usually really good feeders. They're usually hungrier than their adult counterparts. So let's see if I put a cricket in there, if she'll chow down on it.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, it did not waste its time.
No.
It is, you can see the cricket's fully in its jaws right now. And a cricket is, probably like 30-40% of its size, so this is not like a small meal.
I see the eyes.
Yeah, they got little cluster of 8 eyes. All tarantulas, 8 is the typical number for spiders, and all tarantulas have 8. Now she's starting to work the fangs on the prey there. So, yeah.
That was actually a good place to freeze. Oops. Man, we're frozen again. Ooh. It's okay. We got a lot of nice close-up shots on that. I always like it when I can see the eyes on the top of a spider. Here, what do we got? And is this a new one?
This is yeah, I don't know if you heard me talking about this one. I kind of lost me for a minute there, I think, but this is called a Grand Canyon black tarantula. This is a baby, but fully grown. They are even so. Is 3 inches, so bigger than your average spider, but small for a tarantula. And I'm going to give this one a cricket as well and see how it does there. This one may or may not respond as quickly as the previous one.
Woo, almost sort of surprising.
That's more of a defensive bite. That's more like a get out of here. So I'm gonna take this cricket back and see if he. Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next spider since we're running low on time.
Yeah.
There's some bigger tarantulas here, and you don't want to miss those.
So have you always liked these kinds of animals?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I've always had weird pets. This one's called a Goony Terrarium. It's a South American species. So it's usually a pretty good. Oh, there we go. Not waste any time. And this one is.
I feel like
get a good view of the mouth.
I think our picture is frozen, so you can describe what's happening.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Well, I just gave her a cricket. She grabbed it right away. I'm going to give her a second one here because this one is big enough to eat 2 or 3 crickets. And she's chowing on them. She's not messing around. And this is, despite how ferociously she attacks her prey, this is actually a pretty gentle-natured tarantula. This is one that we use in our handling demonstrations here. This species is one of the more calm tarantulas, but as feeders, they're very aggressive.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
Yeah, they got very nice markings on them. I think she molted fairly recently, and after they shed their skin, they're usually at their color. They got this nice pink color and the yellow band on the legs.
Yeah. I like it when they have that incredible fur, you know, I know it's not fur, but it looks like fur.
Yeah. The hairs on the legs and things are used for touching and feeling. They also have defensive hairs on their abdomen that are spiny, like a porcupine's hair that they use as defense. All right, now this one's called a curly hair tarantula, and we're going to see if this one would be interested in a cockroach.
Yes. Not that, you know.
I just don't like cockroaches very much. What kind of cockroach are you going to feed it? I mean, I know there are a lot of different kinds.
Yeah, these are, this one is popularly known as a Dubia cockroach. It's a, walking right up to the tarantula. He is kind of ignoring it. It's walking right under her. So she, like I said, well fed, but I got a couple more in backup in case you want a cricket. So she's not interested in that right now. So this is called a curly hair tarantula, named for their long curly hair on the legs.
Oh. Cool.
I think we have probably have time for maybe just one more. We got about 3 minutes. So we a couple of minutes.
Okay. This is a Chilean rose tarantula.
Nice. Looks like it has leggings on or something.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's fairly recently molted, so it's got the nicest reddish color that she would normally have. Yeah, she wanted that.
Yeah. Very neat.
The second one. I'll see if we can get a close-up view of the feeding in progress there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a perfect end to the program. What an incredible face.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You'll see them. Then when tarantulas eat, spiders in general, they have to eat liquid food. So they use their fangs to kill their prey. In the case of tarantulas, they also chew it up, but then they regurgitate digestive fluids all over the prey to liquefy it, and they suck those fluids back out.
Wow.
And so it's a long process. She won't just gobble it down like the Katydid did, but she'll it'll probably take, a couple hours actually.
Huh. Yeah, that close-up showed her color really well.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we might have to wind up now, I think. So,
right.
You know what? That was very cool. I'm so glad I got to be the host for this program to see those.
Oh, good.
It's really neat. And we thank you so much for showing us all that.
Thanks for having me.
How hot is it out there in New Mexico?
Well, we're in the north. We're high altitude. We're at 70,000 feet, so it's not as hot as it is here in other places. But we've been in the 80s lately.
Yeah.
It's actually rare in Santa Fe to get over 100 because we're at such high altitude. And I know in southern New Mexico it'll get like 110 degrees,
Yeah.
but not so much here.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad because we've been around 82. I was just curious because the West is so different than where we are. So anyway, thank you so much for this program, and thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to say thank you to our Bugfest sponsor, BASF, and to all the museum members without whom we couldn't have Bugfest. If you're not yet a museum member, you can, I think we have a slide that will show where you can get a Bugfest t-shirt. If you join today, join our Friends of the Museum, you can get a free Bugfest t-shirt. And you can also order t-shirts at a website that's hopefully will be linked, or you can find it on, especially you can find it on the museum website. So that is it for this program tonight. Let's feed bugs. Thank you, Wade. Anybody we have one more program for our online Bugfest celebration, and that's coming up right now. It's our Bugfest guest sketch. And I think maybe some of those links are up. I'm not sure. Yeah, here we go. So just head on over to that. And thank you so much for being with us for dinner.